This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covell. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. A bunch of fun topics on my mind today. First, I want to start with averages versus individuals. I've seen a popular personality out there making the argument recently that gross statistics mean nothing. He looks at individuals, meaning don't tell him that some population does something some percentage of the time. He doesn't care. He looks at the individual. That's intentionally dishonest. It's reckless. But then again, this is how people play it these days. Most people are so weak, they have to say such bullshit. Here's the reality if we follow through on his individual discussion. If he meets 100 of these individuals that comprise the population that he doesn't want to look at the statistics, guess what? You meet enough of those people, whether it's 100 or some other number, they're going to start to reflect the averages. So does that mean that every person that comprises some population that averages some behavior will behave the same? No. But we don't throw out the data because we are weak. We don't throw out the data because we are emotionally children. We accept the data for what it is. And if the group in that population doesn't like that their behavior is grouped in such a way that we can see percentage-wise what it is across their population, well, tough shit. You can apply this to any type of behavior. I don't care what it is. Education, crime, abortion, whatever social thing you might want to look up. It could be something completely unrelated. It could be athletic prowess. But the data is the data. And we have reached a point in time in history where so many people are so freaking weak that we have to pretend the data doesn't exist to hold up their fragile, unachieving egos. So yes, this is right. What we've actually done is created a situation where the weak of the population, and I don't mean the infirmed or people that have heart conditions, the weak, the bad behaviors, the people that don't do shit, we have to pretend that they are achievers. We have to pretend they are at the high level. We must play a game. Why do we play this game? To make people feel good. Is this gross? Is this disgusting? Of course it is. But in the trading world, for example, you just don't give a shit. You play by the numbers. People don't walk into the markets with real money and still care about their emotional, social bullshit. Because in the markets, it's win or lose. And if you walk into the markets with a bunch of emotional baggage, the markets will teach you a lesson very quickly. And that money that you walked in with will be gone fast as shit. So why do we do this? Why have we reached this point where we can't talk about data? I can give you all kinds of theories, but let's just start with the basics, the reality. Emotionally weak cucks. Cuck, spelled C-U-C-K. You don't know what it is? You got Google. But that's what's happened. And the people that know that it's wrong, like myself, like many of you listening, we are not putting our foot down. We are not standing up to this nonsense. But we must. If we don't, where does civilization go? Everyone knows, if you listen to this podcast, that I don't spend the vast majority of my time inside the continental United States. I prefer to be outside of it. It has sharpened my powers of observation. It has given me, frankly, more freedom. And at the root, more peace. Because I don't want to spend my time in a world where we lie to each other nonstop, where we pretend nonstop, because we're worried about affecting or hurting the feelings of emotionally weak underachievers. And that is modern America. So do your part. Work on yourself. I work on myself all the time. Sharpen the knife, so to speak. Be tough. Work out. Get yourself in shape. Get off the couch. If you're a fat ass, stop being a fat ass. Get freaking badass, not fat ass. Man, I sound worked up today. I am worked up. I mean, we are lucky to be alive. How many billions of people have passed on before us? And we are alive with the opportunity to do great things. Great things that we can achieve on our own. Great things that we can achieve with family, friends, teams. We can do anything. But the one thing that we should not do is give in to the emotionally weak. Give in to the pussies. We should not do that. We can't do that. If we do that, eventually, all of the greatness of modern civilization will implode. Am I too intense? Am I too on the edge? If you think so, you've been asleep. Go back to sleep. I don't care. But my words are biting for a reason. We need biting words like this. We don't need words from cuck, C-U-C-K, on the edge of, quote, libertarianism. If it feels good, do it. If you're not hurting anybody, it's okay. Hey, raise your hand out there and tell me if you think modern libertarianism works still. Of course it doesn't work. Look at American cities. Hey, if it feels good, do it. Hey, everybody can do what they want. Well, what have we done? We've ruined our cities. We have ruined our cities. And the philosophical libertarianism, which I guess works possibly if you have a homogenous population of like-minded people, brothers and sisters, so to speak, who all want to achieve, then perhaps this libertarian ideal could work. Look, I at one time in my youth thought it could work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't work in America. It's become a philosophical exercise in masturbation because we're no longer at a great place. If libertarianism is so great, if it feels good, do it. Let everybody do what they want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. If all of these ideals were so wonderful, why would we be where we are? It hasn't worked. There has to be a guiding force. There has to be leadership. You can't have every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You can't have every loser in society shaping the politics of society. It doesn't work. They're losers for a reason. Man, I'm intense today. I keep trying to bring myself down, but I can't. It's okay. I have a sneaky suspicion you are right there with me. You just need somebody to say it. Because all the voices out there that we all hear on a nonstop basis, you know, they're telling you what happened in the news that week. They're telling you some bullshit like that. I don't care at all about the weekly shit that is flown across mainstream news and, quote, alternative news. A bunch of teleprompter reading jockeys just reading off nonsense, afraid to offend somebody. There's a lesson today in my rant, and I'll repeat it. Be tough. Be tough and be tougher. I want to read an excerpt I caught from an author, Billy Oppenheimer. Great little excerpt titled, "The Difference Between When You Are and Aren't Motivated." He writes, Andy Weir, author of The Martian, was asked how he motivates himself to write on days he's not motivated to write. Now, of course, writing is a euphemism. It could be anything. He said he thinks about what he ultimately wants to produce good writing. Then he reminds himself that there's no correlation between how motivated he is and how good the writing is. He has days where he feels extremely motivated, where the words pour out of him. And he has days where he feels like crap, feels like shit, where every word takes work. What these days have in common, he said, quote, if you wait a week and look back on the stuff you wrote, you can't tell the difference between when you're motivated and when you weren't. This helps me a lot, remembering that the quality of your work isn't greatly affected by the amount of enthusiasm you had in the moment, end quote. He's spot on. If you don't have a connection to that writing, if you don't have a connection to that thinking, you have to find it. Because this is the way you're going to find success. You're going to find success by showing up every day, pulling on your boots, so to speak, and being consistent, producing something every day. And if you do that enough, which is ultimately practice, if you practice enough, you're going to end up with something that's going to blow your socks off. It's going to blow other people's socks off. But if you sit there and just dream, if you don't exert effort, if you just show up at the job working for the fucking man every day and you don't break out, you don't do something different, how the hell do you expect to get to your dreams? You're not going to. You're going to be a failure. You're going to be a what if. You're going to be a loser. Am I saying that I'm all that? No. I'm not cocky. I'm confident. I'm confident because I put the work in every day. Work for the man? No, that's not my cup of tea. I put the work in to create something, some legacy, something that will live on. And if you can frame the world like that, if you can think of the world like that, to leave something beyond you, oh my gosh, it's so easy to find joy in that space. It's so easy to get excited. It's so easy to wake up every day energized, on fire, ready to go. But on the other hand, if you went out that night, this last night, so to speak, and you got your ass drunk, and you did it 5 nights in a row, and we all know a drop of alcohol affects your sleep. So drink booze 5 nights in a row, your sleep is fucked for 5 nights in a row. Where's your body? Where's your mind? Are you at your optimal? No, you're pathetic. Am I trying to be all that and criticizing alcohol? No, I've done my share of drinking in my youth. Am I happy about that? In hindsight, not exactly, but I did it. I have the experience, and I walked away. Because you can't be at your best when you're like that. You can be weak like that. Hey, I know, all the movies, right? Everyone's pouring booze, everyone's having a whiskey. We've learned. We know what is up. And I ain't buying it when it comes to any of the magic mushrooms or the weed either. It's the same crap. If you have to force your mind into some extracurricular drug-induced stupor because you can't handle yourself in the modern world, are you trying to tell me you're a strong person? No, you're a weak motherfucker. That's what you are. Be strong. Be tough. Kick some ass. And if you go that way, I promise you, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel like you're on booze. You're going to feel like you're on drugs because you've raised your personal game. You've gone beyond trying to be like all the other idiots that are at the local bar drinking it up every night. Why are they there every night drinking it up? Because they've lost. They gave up. They're out of the game. They are out of the game. They're nobody. You want to argue with me? No, you don't want to argue with me because you know I'm telling the truth. Am I trying to be all that? No, I'm just a mirror. I'm saying what we all know deep down. We all know all of these precepts. We know all of these principles. We regularly violate them to our own detriment. Do I have a script today? Not exactly. This is just what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that we are going in the wrong direction. I'm feeling that we need to get tougher. Let me shift out of my motivated rant today and shift to some housekeeping, so to speak. I would like to share, I'm always proud to find out that a book of mine has been translated into another language. In the last week, I have found out my Turtle Trader book has gone into Vietnamese. And randomly, I found out that my Turtle Trader book has already been translated into Persian, which I did not know. The first book of mine that I know that exists in Iranian bookstores, which is very cool. So I have a favor to ask. As of right now, I'm aware that my books are in 17 different languages. So across all of my books, across my 8 books, 17 different languages. You can see all of those at trendfollowing.com/about. You can see the images of these books and their foreign translations. So the favor I have to ask, if you know of one of my books that has been translated into a language that I don't know about, can you let me know? I want to know. I love finding out that the reach has gone to a country that I don't even know about. It's such a fun feeling. And as a little side tangent there, I know you've probably heard other people say this. And some people will say, no, Mike, you're wrong. This is not true. But I think everybody has a book inside of them. I think everybody has the ability, the insight, and a message to put something to print, to share with others. Now, not some of this typical business book bullshit that is circulating these days. I can't tell you how many woke books are thrown at me where I'm asked to interview XYZ author and the book is just some woke shit. I can't do it. There's no conversation there. And that extends to the basics of, quote, modern business. It's all just generic type. There's no soul to it. There's no insight there. There's nothing there. So don't be that. But be that something original. I do think everybody has a book in them. And that brings me back to the foreign translations. If you ever do get the book out there and it gets translated to another language, you don't have this feeling where you have a big party or anything, but it's something special. It's something special that if you write a book in one language and it ends up in another language, that feeling is really cool. It's a motivator. It's another motivator of the many that I could share in my life if I was to pass along experiences. But seeing one's work in a foreign language, even if you can't read it, is just cool as shit. I have one last thing I want to share today, and that is my blog that I regularly add client feedback to. You can find that at trendfollowing.com/blog. And that is just filled with random feedback that I get every week from clients and readers. Some of the feedback is great. It's spot on from readers that are adding an interesting piece to the conversation. Some of it's not. Some of it includes traders that don't know what they're talking about. Some of it includes traders that are going the wrong direction. And not surprisingly, I always try to steer people in the right direction. But one of the most interesting pieces of feedback that I've ever received came several years ago. And it's from one of the individuals that has appeared on my podcast. He's been profiled in my books. And early in his career, he purchased my training. I did not know him at the time. I had no connection with him at all, but he purchased my training. And years later, he told me that what he wanted to do was to check his work, his trading firm, his trading systems against what I was providing to clients. A comparison, a comp. And that's what he did. And the comp was part of the reason that he went on to have 20 plus years still going of success in the trend following space. Meaning he had his system already, but he looked at the systems that I provide, made the comparison, and realized that what he had was valid. Now, he probably already thought what he had was valid, but he was looking for comparisons. He was looking for comps. He was looking for ways to prove himself wrong. And I'm always happy to look back on that random feedback that he sent me to think that his purchase of my materials, my training helped him in some way to get to where he wanted to go. But I also get the complete opposite. I get brand new people that don't know where to start. And let's face it, if you're brand new today and you're listening to Twitter and you're listening to YouTube and you got people talking about 1-minute bars and 5-minute bars, and they're trying to tell you that 1-minute bars and 5-minute bars are trend following, or they're talking about candlesticks, or they're talking about triangles, or they're talking about support and resistance, all bullshit, all not trend following. It can be a minefield if you're a new trader. And you have to ask yourself, if you're a new trader, if you're a new investor, if you start with the wrong technique, if you start with the wrong training, how much money can you waste? Not only for the price of admission, the price of your losses. You got to add that in too. So I implore you out there, if you have feedback you would like to share with me, drop me an email. I'm easy to reach. Michael@covel.com. That's right, my first name at my last name.com. I picked up Covel.com about 10 or 15 years ago. I believe it was a Russian investor, sold it to me for like $600. I was not wise enough to first register Covel.com back in the day, but $600 seemed like a fair trade to get your last name. And I got to share too, if you're not aware, and I'm sure a lot of people have these kinds of stories, but Covel was not an original name. Covel was shortened from Kowaleski because I believe my grandfather was trying to avoid Polish jokes. No shit, true story. My grandfather was 100% Lithuanian, and he was trying to avoid Polish jokes. So he changed the name from Kowaleski to Covel. But back in the day before Kowaleski, it was Kavaliauskas back in Lithuania. But I got to say, I'm quite lucky today, though, to have a 5-letter last name. In the internet world, that's fabulous. I mean, that's what everybody wants. You don't want one of these big, long last names. Too many letters. Not the way the world has been built. But back to my point. I would love to hear your feedback. If you have any feedback that you would like to give on my work, my podcast, my books, my website, drop me that email, michael@covel.com. And just to take it back to my core message today, averages exist, and we're all stuck there. We are stuck in the averages, and it's upon us to break out. We can't just ask people to assume we are not average to some population. No, we have to show effort. We have to break out. And when it comes to motivation, be consistent. Wake up each day, kick some ass, get tough, go to the gym, go for a run, do yoga, do something, go jump. Actually, that's been one of my fun things for the last year, jumping, box jumping. Just toughen it up. Turn off the weak voices. Don't let the weakness into your mind. Kick it the F out. And as I always say, when I wind down these rants, take some of this wisdom and you're going to have a happier life. I absolutely guarantee it. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.